We need to reconsider all of the fundamental assumptions underlying our Afghan policy.
Think about another way to deal with
Take
it.
a somewhat different course.
And it requires rethinking.
Rethink this very, very carefully.
President Obama has ordered the first major military deployment of his presidency. We learned late today he's sending an additional 17,000 American troops to Afghanistan.
The rural nature of Afghanistan, 50% of Afghanistan is basically rural. The rural nature of Afghanistan is precisely why the United States cannot defeat the Taliban militarily, because the United States only has the forces to go and control certain urban areas. And when I say urban areas, I mean like 7 or 8 houses in a crossroads is considered an urban area. And they only have the ability to control these sorts of things. They don't have the troop size, nor could they conceivably ever have the troop size to actually control the countryside. It would require hundreds of thousands of troops in every village, which is not a tenable situation whatsoever.
If we look at Afghanistan, what we can see is, I think, the application of a faulty lesson. What I think the Obama administration is doing is believing that, well, if 20,000 extra troops suppress violence in Iraq, maybe 30,000 extra troops will suppress violence in Afghanistan. And I think that they're likely to be disappointed.
Given the size of the population, given the lack of development, lack of infrastructure, the number of troops that the administration is talking about really hardly amounts to more than a drop in the bucket.
You need a ratio of something like 1 combat force soldier for every 40 people in the country. And what that equates to in Afghanistan is well over 250,000 Western combat forces.
You see, you need to learn from history that there were 500,000 Soviet troops in Afghanistan, and they could not contain the Afghan resistance.
A military solution is not going to bring resolution here. If it would have, then the Russians had over 500,000 soldiers engaged here. The British were actually, they had the territory all around here, and they had the largest concentration of British troops during those times, and they chose to let it govern itself. So, I mean, it's important to look at some of those, lessons from history and see why was that done, and how will it be different today.
The Afghans are probably the world champions in resisting foreign domination and infiltration into their country. They showed this to the Russians in the 20th century. They showed it to the British in the 19th century.
But to try and change a society which has never, ever been able to, by force, be changed. It's been known as a graveyard of many great armies. And it is not a place where you can bring about change by force.
Я тогда начал понимать, что что-то неправильно мы делаем. Потому что если мы делали правильно, народ против нас не пошел. И вот с этого дня я начал замечать, что люди против нас. Уже взгляды были другие, действия были другие. И с каждым днем росло сопротивление населения. Они начали организовывать отряды, формирование, пошла помощь. И вот с этого с января, с февраля 80-го года до самого вывода до февраля 89-го года негатив к нам шел по нарастающей.
ABC News has taken a poll in Afghanistan. It shows that after 7 years there, less than half of Afghans view the U.S. favorably.
30,000, 100,000, as many as they come, they will increase the casualties. They will destroy our country, and there will be casualties to their forces also.
We don't want the American to build us roads or bridges. We just want them to leave.
The Pashtuns who live in the rural areas, often outside of state control, have both a code of honor and a code of conduct called the Pashtunwali. And it stresses personal autonomy. It stresses having solutions take place outside of the state.
But there's another aspect to this. I will be your friend as long as you don't do the one thing that is most vile in Pashtun tradition. And that tradition says this: do not invade my woman's dressing room, do not invade my house, do not invade my complex, do not invade my village, do not invade my country. We have done all of those things.
So when the international community, and especially American, arrived in Afghanistan, the Afghan people said, very well, we would like to have a normal life. We would like to have electricity, to have a road, to have a car, to have a job. Unfortunately, after 7 years, now the Afghan people didn't believe in your message.
So, you know, for local people, they say, okay, on one side you're talking about peace, on the other side you're bringing more troops. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So I think it doesn't help in terms of what the perception is in the mind of the local people. If you're talking about not engaging militarily and looking towards development and diplomacy, then why have